It's the game, of course, and we've got the man that breaks down all the college football lines for us each and every week here at the Voice of College Football. Steve Merrill's here from Wager Talk TV, right here on YouTube. WagerTalk.com is the place to be for Steve's complete look at the NBA, the NFL, and of course, college football. Steve, I don't know how a game can have more impact, more incentive. It's always throw out the records, the pride and the bragging rights as a historic rivalry, but 11-0, 11-0, 2-3 in the country with all the controversy about Michigan's NCAA scandal, Ohio State possibly having a factor in that. Just the level of vitriol and the stakes of this game are just at record heights. And this game was watched by more people last year than any college football game in more than a decade. I can't imagine it's going to not be more of the same this year.
Yeah, they had the spotlight spot on Saturday at noon Eastern, so it's a great spot as well to get those views. And, this is a very important game, but I still think maybe the most important game for these two teams was Oregon State last week. That might have been more important than anything. They really needed Oregon State to beat Washington, because then you can make an argument, whoever lost this game still had a really good chance of being in the top four. But if Washington continues to win, and I keep feeling like they're going to drop a game here or there, but they haven't, the loser of this game very well could be on the outside looking in. And I think that's a shame, because these are two of the four best teams in college football. With that said, though, I still rate Michigan as the better team. Let's look at my database simulation. 10,000 games simulated through the database on average has Michigan winning this game by over 7.5 points. So I do think there's some line value with Michigan minus 3.5. And let's put that line value in perspective. A week ago, before the games were played last Saturday, bettable lines at major sportsbooks across the world had Ohio State as a 5.5 to 6 point underdog. That was a bettable line a week ago. This line was going to be 5.5 to 6 for Michigan. Now it's only 3.5, and I think a large reason is because Michigan barely got by Maryland, whereas Ohio State coasted as expected against Minnesota. So I'll take the adjusted line value here with Michigan. Two really good teams. Defensively, their numbers are pretty similar. I think the difference in this game, though, is going to be the running edge for Michigan, and there's a couple reasons why I say that. First of all, let's look at the Penn State game. Ohio State had the benefit of playing Penn State at home a few weeks ago, yet they only ran for 83 yards total in that game. Michigan had a tougher spot on the road at Penn State a couple weeks ago, and they run for 227 yards. And we talked about that. They only had to throw the ball 8 times in the game. They dominated the line of scrimmage. It's like watching a service academy run the triple option. And I think that's going to be a little more obvious here. And we can't ignore the last 2 years. Harbaugh was 1-5 straight up. They didn't play in the COVID year. And then the last 2 seasons, he's won outright as an underdog both times, and they've put up a ton of points. So it does look like the tide has turned. I favor Michigan by 7.5, and we get some line value based on last week's results, with the line being just 3.5 now.
There we go. 20-5. What is that? That's Steve's record under the radar selection. It's exclusive here at the Voice of College Football as a main channel member or on Patreon, patreon.com/MarkRogersTV. Steve again, 20-5 against the spread since week 1 of 2022. Steve, appreciate you stopping by as always.